Hasselites, talk to me. Yeah! Welcome everybody to another edition of Hassel's Review, where this week we're going to have a review, as our good friends over at Diabolik has sent those of us at Geek Network an advanced copy of Orgy of the Blood Freaks and Gringo Loco. So we're about to, dive into this right here. So I will say there are some minor spoilers. So even though our good friend who is always commenting on our stuff on the YouTube, Funko Pop Plus, he did recommend that, we do a Hassel's audio books on tape for comics. But, this week I decided, we're not going to do all the spoilers. Since this is a Kickstarter that is still up going, so I don't want to spoil things for everybody, but there will be some minor spoilers. Warning, minor spoilers. So if that is something you want to avoid, I apologize. But I will try to keep it to a minimal as I give a fair assessment and review of what I've seen. So let's quit teasing with the tip and let's just go all in. So, first book is Orgy of the Blood Freaks. And it is written by Phil Mucci and written by Mike Diabolik. And I probably just butchered both these names, and I apologize for that tremendously. I am not very good with names. But Phil Mucci, he writes both these books, actually, and he does a very, very good job. And both books are very diverse and different from one another. So it's not like you got like a 1 and 2 of anything. It's like very night and day. I will say this first title, if the old Hammer horror films and Austin Powers had a love child, it will be this book. And that is not a bad thing. That is a good thing. This book is a very fun book and is, yeah, it's just a throwback to the old horror, Hammer horror, as well as you just threw Austin Powers into the mix. Not so much character-wise, but settings and things of this nature. So let's dive on in here. We kind of start out in the year of our Lord, 1946, and you see this orphanage that's, it's in Italy. So this little girl, she comes wandering up, and an old nun comes out, and this nun, you get vibes off her real quickly that there are some nefarious things afoot here. She's smoking, she's got some gnarly teeth, and she brings the little girl inside, tells her she's hungry. So she sits down with the other girls, and, you have a quick introduction to a few people there. That's very brief in the very beginning there of this right here. And you very quickly you realize there's some bad shit going on here. Flash forward about 20 years to 1967, and this is where we are introduced to Professor Dario Bava. And he has a young apprentice with him, so to speak, and they're at this same abbey orphanage, and it's abandoned by this point. It's just in dire shape. So very quickly they're scouring around. There's a cemetery out there, and next thing you know, a wraith arrives, and she says some things, and Dario he can hear, and the little apprentice is like, "What?" Next thing you know, this apprentice is he'd be headed pretty quickly. It's just like that. But just like that, it jumps to the Vatican, where Dario is there in talking to a group of nuns, and he is playing his recording of what transpired this night. So it does. I will say that is the only flaw I found with this title. Honestly, it does a tremendous amount of jumping around. With no warning, it just, you go from one to something else. But, like I said, that's the worst flaw I could find in the book. That's pretty damn good considering, the world of comics today. So, I don't think it is a knock. It's just my take on things. It does do a tremendous amount of jumping around. So, he's there, like I said, at the Vatican, and this is where we're introduced to Sister Sadie. And she winds up being Dario's companion, sidekick, whatever you want to call her. So he's telling them all about what transpired. You quickly jump to the hallway, and we are introduced to Father O'Malley. And you don't really get no big vibes off of him up until the point to where he says, "For fuck's sake, So at this point, when he says, for fuck's sake, if you do not get some really shitty vibes off him, like this guy's going to be trouble later, then I got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. Just saying. So he gives Dario some transcripts that are sealed, and it's what he's looking for. He goes off and he takes Sadie with him, and next thing you know, they dip together like, hey, we peanut butter and jelly now, baby, let's go. They strike out together, and this is where we begin our jumping around a little more. So you're taken to this old man's house, or it's an apartment complex, so to speak, and he's in a wheelchair. So it's a wheelchair bound old man. He's creeping along, and he looks, and there's a hangman's noose there. So next thing you know, there is a motorcycle helmeted female assassin entering the room, and she quickly tries to hang the old man, and he warns her, you're going to awaken the beast. And he quickly morphs into a werewolf. I will give you fucking cool points right here for this, because anytime you enter a werewolf into a book, you've got your boy Hassel sold. Lock, stock, barrel were there. I was in right there. I loved it. Well, the werewolf shows up. Get a quick battle with the rider, as she is later introduced as. And they have a pretty quick little battle back and forth. Like I said, minor spoilers. She does put some silverware to his eyes. Silverware. I've never seen this anywhere, so that's creative as fuck. Ninja star. Werewolf is expunged. Done, son. So then we jump again. And this is where Dario and Sadie arrive at the Sisters of Tomorrow, which I'm still kind of unclear if this is his base or just their base and he's with them as a partnership or what. But when you walk in here, it is 100% Austin Powers. Like, you're like, yeah, baby. Groovy. Literally, there's a huge lava lamp in the center of the headquarters. It's almost the size of the Central Battery on Oa. So then you have ladies walking around in bikinis, and it's just a very groovy, baby, vibe in there. And you introduce several characters there. Pretty cool characters. I like some of the character development on a few of them. It was really neat. And then we jump again. And this time we jump back to Father O'Malley, who is in a secret sanctum, so to speak. And there's a lot of devilish things in there. So his for fuck's sake did pay off. He was a piece of turd. And he's in there and he's talking to some lady and he says, hey, the trap's been set. We give him the stuff, yada, yada, yada. So you know some nefarious things are afoot. Well, we jump back again to the Sisters of Tomorrow. And this is where they open the transcribed, sealed records, because if you read them one way to an untrained eye, it would read one thing, but to a trained eye, it would read something else. They have the trained eye, so to speak. And in doing so, they realize that, let me make sure I got my year right. In 1435, the church murdered this young lesbian couple. Apparently they were not very accommodating back in the day, which we know this. The church isn't very accommodating today, apparently. But still. So they murdered this young lesbian couple and accused them of, being witches, a cult and all of these sorts of things, and just being impure people. So in doing so, they laid forth a curse upon the church, the area, the land. And this is where we start getting some really cool Evil Dead shit. Things start happening, and like I said, I won't go into detail because, I did say we won't spoil things. But you get some really cool action right here. Very, very reminiscent of Evil Dead. I liked it. And, it turns out really cool. It jumps back again. And this is where Dario's like, look, we've got to go back. I have to avenge. And he names off his apprentice from earlier in the book. And the ladies are all looking like, you don't care about him. It's the lesbian vampires. And he said, no, I got to go back and avenge this guy. And then they start naming off a slew of, apparently, apprentices he's led to their grave. And you see images of various adventures. So apparently he has done quite a few adventures, so to speak, throughout the years. And he's led many a poor soul to their grave he's not a guy you want to follow around. So I don't got a good vibe for Sister Sadie, other than she appears to be a hidden badass. Well, it's yet to be seen, but I get this vibe. So, and they're like, no, it's lesbian vampires. And the next thing you know, you see the rider approach, and she pulls up outside of the Sisters of Tomorrow, and she has the book that she took from the old werewolf that she murdered earlier in the book. It ends. All in all, it's a good title. I enjoyed it. It's about 3.5 out of 5 Hassels. Like I said, other than jumping around, I found it a little. I wish we had maybe got some of the stuff more together and then had some cut scenes. But you know, it is what it is. All in all, very fun, interesting title. I definitely can see myself going in for this and buying the future installments. If you get a chance, go to their Kickstarter page. He has a really cool live action trailer for this that's like super neat. Actually, he done a really great job in his live action trailer. So his Kickstarter, it looks to be well funded. There's a lot of really cool stuff and incentives to get. So hey, go check him out. Moving on to his other title, Gringo Loco. This one was fun. I will say the absolutely only flaw with this book here was there wasn't another 50 pages for me to read. I instantly like it, which I like old like spaghetti westerns, and this is like horror meets spaghetti western. So I was instantly like, you reeled your boy in, hook, line, sinker. So the book starts off and you see a hooded man about to be hung. Center of town square. They hang this poor bastard. Okay, well, for some reason there's a kid just hanging around there. Well, it's dawn the next morning, and you see 2 of the local prostitutes come out of the brothel, and they're like, well, what in the world's going on? And she's like, his snore woke me up, and it pans back to the hooded man who is still hanging there. Apparently his snoring has woke up the prostitutes. So it's like, whoa, what's going on here? So finally, you know, the kid takes the hood off of the guy, and this is where we're introduced to the character. And he almost looks like an Hispanic Frankenstein. He looks very Charles Bronson-ish in the facial mannerisms. You know, it's just, I don't know, it was pretty cool. So you're instantly like, well, how did this guy get like this? Well, questions, and good questions, they start coming to mind. Well, he asks the kid, does he have any whiskey? The kid just kind of looks at him. Then he says 5 minutes later, he says, what about smoke? And the kid rolls him a cig, which nothing says 1800s like a kid rolling, you know, a grown man a cigarette. So he rolls him a smoke, and he tells him thank you for it. And by that time, this gang rolls up, and you're introduced to the leader of the gang, and he apparently knows the guy that's hung. And they have a quick back and forth for a few seconds there, and the next thing you know, people start coming out, and he basically just tells them to go on about their business. And the sheriff is like, you have this Django moment there for a moment. The sheriff and his deputy come out, and he's like, look, this man he's going to be hung until he's dead. We might not have done it the first time, but he's going to hang until he's dead. You're not getting him. And the next thing you know, all hell ensues, and they murder up the sheriff and deputy real quick like. It's done, son. And in the skirmish, the kid cuts loose Gringo Loco, and he gets out, and you start having a pretty good back and forth. Well, unfortunately, like I said, minor spoilers, the kid perishes in battle, and Gringo doesn't take kindly to that. He lays waste to a great many of the gang. The leader escapes in the ensuing battle, and then he goes to, once the dust is settled, he tells the kid, he says, look, you'll be avenged. I'll make sure he's dead. He'll pay for this. And he goes to retrieve his horse, and he interacts with a stable hand, and, you know, he doesn't have the money to pay the guy, so one of the prostitutes shows up, and she's got her bottle of whiskey. Cool points, just saying. She gives him a bottle of whiskey, and she tells the guy, hey, saddle him up, I'll square up for him. Just make sure you kill this guy, and then I'll owe you another $1. And like I said, unfortunately, that's kind of where the book ends. Like I said, it was, I loved it. It was great. It's just, oh man, I wish there was like more of it, which is their job. Leave me wanting more. Make me go buy these things. So anyone out there, go check out the Kickstarters for both Orgy of the Blood Freaks and Gringo Loco. I promise you, you will not be disappointed, because Gringo Loco was a good 4.25 star out of 5. I'm super happy with it. It was, like I said, very, very good. So with that being said, thank you people at Diabolik for allowing us at Geek Nation Network to give you a good review or check you out while we're showing a little love out there. I will say I did do another minor review yesterday. I finally sat down and watched The Pope's Exorcist. If you haven't seen this movie, I kind of slept on it when it hit the theaters. I seen it and I was like, you know, with Russell Crowe, he's kind of hit and miss, and I kind of didn't feel like it would be done seriously enough. Honestly, for some reason, I just kind of felt like it was going to be a little, But I will say it's on Netflix. It's like, I think it's trending #1 on Netflix right now, honestly. So if you get a chance, log into your Netflix. Log into your neighbors and let Netflix, whoever you're using, whether it be, you know, friend, family, foe, however, log into Netflix, check out The Pope's Exorcist. It will actually wind up being very good. A few twists and turns along the way that I was like, okay, this is interesting. It's a different layer of the onion. You see it going one way and they kind of take it another way, and it was all in all, it was a very good movie. It's got some rewatch factor to it. Would I watch it many times? No. But I will probably watch it 1 or 2 more at some point in time later down the pike. So there is that. It's very enjoyable, and there's a few creepy, cringe scenes in it. So hey, check it out. Minor nudity. So if you're watching with the kids, just know towards the end of the movie there is some minor nudity. Tons of terrible language. Hassel approved, because I am tons of terrible language. So there's no problem with that. So while we're out here, let me give a few shout outs. Let me thank our sponsor, The Zone Collectibles, 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Go check them out for all your nerdy needs, where they do unity through community, fandoms unite, and check out their network, Spotlight Media, where your boys Hassel and Monster are on there, as well as we are on Geek Network. So we're everywhere, people, but check out Spotlight Media. Clayton Clan runs that, and they're very good people. You'll love what you see there. It's a very cool app. You can get it on Fire TV and Roku. And check out our YouTube channel. It's where we want to get you at the most. We need you there. We need the likes, subscribes, and shares. We haven't been long broke a subscriber goal, and we're giving away an H4 autographed Tom Morgan mask. So when we hit our next subscriber goal, you can just imagine how much higher the bar will be for that one right there. So check out Hassel's review. Check out the Nerdy Man Room show with my co-host Monster, where each and every week we do interviews, reviews, toy talks, Geek Week. We do it all. We do Nerd Out. And if Nerd Out don't get you thinking, I don't know what will. So with that being said, thank everybody for being here this week. Next week, we got something really good in store. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.